My name is Mora Rivki Ross, and I'm the head of school at Yeshivat Netivot in East Brunswick, New Jersey. And I am joined tonight by Mora Michal Steinhertz, who is one of our Judaic Studies teachers in lower elementary. For us, lower elementary is first, second, and third grade. We are also joined by Mora Razy Feitman, our lower elementary director. And we are very, very blessed to have with us Rabbi Darren Levin, who is our former Judaic Studies principal, and before that, an upper elementary teacher at Netivot. So we promised you a session on manipulatives, miniatures, and Megillot. And what we're going to do is take you through a sequence rather quickly of how we handle some Ivrit and teaching of Chagim that are all intertwined using classic Montessori materials that we have harnessed for the teaching of Limudei Kodesh. So we'll start with the manipulatives. I'm going to do a brief introduction to what we call grammar symbols. This is a foundational material in Montessori. We have a grammar symbol for every part of speech. So I'm going to show you what the tray of grammar symbols look like. It's some three-dimensional objects. And I'm going to introduce you to a few of the grammar symbols, and then we're going to take you through some of the works that we do around those. So I just have to tilt my screen a little bit, I think, so you can get a sense. This is the tray of grammar symbols. You can see that there are all kinds of interesting three-dimensional shapes, and children can touch and feel them, and they start working with them from a very young age. In lower elementary, they are going to be introduced, actually even before lower elementary, they'll be introduced to this first one. And as you can see, it is a black pyramid. The teacher will give a very dramatic, impressionistic lesson about the pyramid. She or he will talk about how the pyramid is one of the oldest buildings that you can find on Earth that was created by humans years and years and years ago. And you can still visit them today. You can still see a pyramid standing that was built so many years ago. We, of course, can also talk about Mitzrayim if we want to. And this pyramid that I'm showing you is black. Black is to represent one of the oldest things that we can find inside the earth, and that's coal. This black pyramid represents the oldest words that human beings ever used, and those are nouns. So we'll talk about the idea of a person, place, or thing, and whenever we talk about a noun in our Montessori classroom, it's always going to be represented by a black pyramid. The next grammar symbol that usually comes up in a child's education is this one. I'm going to see if I can get it to behave on Zoom. So if I were sitting on a floor or on a rug, I would just allow this red sphere to do its thing, to roll around. And that grammar symbol, I wonder if there's anybody who can guess. It's not a noun, it moves, it has action. Is anybody ready to wager a guess what this is meant to represent? Nobody's raising their hand. I can't see the gallery. Yes, we have Bella.
I guess a verb if it moves.
You guessed correctly. It is a verb, and it's bright red, like the blood that runs through our veins, and like the sun, the energy of the sun. A verb is an action. So anything that we do with verbs is going to be in red. And finally, the last grammar symbol I'd like to show you tonight is the green bridge. This is a preposition. You can go under it, you can go over it, you can go through, you can go around. So the green bridge is going to be our preposition. And with that background, I'm now going to invite Mora Michal to take us through a few steps of our Purim and Ivrit combined scope and sequence for this time of year in lower elementary.
Okay, so before I go to the rug, to the other camera, I wanted to say that throughout the year, we introduce the students to Shmot Etzem, which are nouns in various themes. So for the winter, we teach them the nouns of winter clothing, like me'il, magafayim, kfafot. And Hanukkah will teach them nouns that have to do with the holiday, Chanukiah, lehava, kad. And now that it's Purim time, we teach them the nouns that are associated with Sipur Megillat Esther. So let me just go to the rug.
I know it'll take a second for Mor Michal to switch to her aerial view so you can see what's happening on the rug with, as promised, miniatures.
Okay, so over here you can see there's a Shem Etzem. But over here, Shem Etzem is a noun. And that is the black triangle, the Mora Rivki showed you. Okay, so what we do, we have over here nouns that has to do with Armon work. Armon means a palace. That's a noun. And then they will label the Armon. Melech is a king, right over here. Malka is a queen, right over here. Oops. Over here you have Shomrim. Shomrim. Sefer, this is Sefer. Over here, this is a Mita. Mita is a bed. This is a Shar. Over here, this is a Michtav. Over here you can see the Michtav. Tabat. Tabat HaMelech. We have a Sus. Yain. Yain is a wine. And we have a Shulchan. Shulchan is a table. An extension for this work is preposition. Just like Mor Rivki showed you, preposition is the green bridge. So about a month prior to Purim, the students will be introduced to Milot Yachas. Milot Yachas is preposition. Over here you can see all the preposition. We have al, liyad, lifnei, מאחורי, betach, tachat, and we even have ben. Over here we have a control chart. We have almost every work in our classroom have a control chart. And it really helps the students to do their works, guide them and control their errors. So how can this beautiful work can be an extension for the Armon? So right over here, we can take the preposition milat yachas al, right? And we can take shnei shem etzem over here. Shlanu mita v'sefer. You can say ha sefer, and this is hey dua. It's an article. Ha sefer al ha-mita, right? The book is on the bed. And of course, our students will practice symbolizing. When they symbolize, they really practice, and they have a very strong understanding of the parts of speech. So we have an article and a noun. This is a short phrase. You can do it again. Over here, I'm taking my melech, malka. I'll take another milat yachas. Over here, I'll take liyad. And I can create another short phrase. Sorry? Okay. We have hamelech, right? The king. Liyad. Ha-malka. Hamelech liyad ha-malka, which means the king next to the queen. This is an extension for the Armon work. Another thing that our first grade students learn, they're introduced to, let me just give me a second. I'm gonna clean this work. They're introduced to Paul. Paul is a verb. And verb is the red sphere that Rivki showed you. And they learn how to conjugate verbs in Hoveh, which is present tense. They learn how to conjugate for male singular, male plural, female singular, and female plural. And here they are. We have hayeled, hayelda, hayeladim, and hayeladot. Each one of this has a template that goes with it, right? Hayeled, this is a template for hayeled. This is the template, tavnit, for hayelda. This is tavnit for hayeladim. This is the tavnit for hayeladot. Then on Purim, they get to practice conjugating verbs, common verbs, in their Megillah as they work on their Megillah. So over here you could see pe'alim b'Megillah, verbs in the Megillah. And the first card in Sipur Purim is this one. Achashverosh, blink, al kiseh malchut. You see the shoresh. The shoresh is yud shin vet. We'll go to the otiyot box, otiyot shoresh box. You can take out the yud, the shin, and the vet. And the kids, the students, can then look in the milon, in the dictionary. Say, oh, yud shin bet. That means set. Now, we know that Achashverosh is the noun that's doing this verb. So Achashverosh. You could look over here. Is it hayeled, hayelda, yeladim, or yeladot? Achashverosh is a yeled. We will take the template, the tavnit for hayeled, a male singular, and we will put the letters, the shoresh letter, in our tavnit, in our template, and what do we get? Yoshev. Achashverosh Yoshev al kiseh malchut. You can see it again. The next card, Vashti lo blink lemishtei hamelech. Again, we could take the three-letter shoresh, hey, lamed, and chaf. They could look in the dictionary. That means go. And they can take the template for hayelda, because Vashti is a female singular. They will put in shoresh. And what do you get? Holechet. תראו, Vashti lo holechet lemishtei hamelech. And over here is an example for you to see a Megillah that one of our first grade students did. אסתר הולכת לארמון המלך, מרדכי עומד לפני המן, and over here you could see that the students symbolize it with red circles. So that it. I showed you 3 works, beautiful works about Purim. I'll give the stage back to Mara Rivki.
Okay, so I'm going to encourage everybody to go to gallery view so we can all see each other. So first of all, I would really like to thank Mara Michal. This is how we applaud on Zoom. Thank you so much, Mara Michal, for a great presentation. And you're back. Great. I don't know, Mara Rizi, did you want to show the picture of the students working on their Megillot? So we also have Mara Rizi here. She's our lower elementary director at Netivot. So lots of expertise in the whole lower elementary, first, second, and third grade range. And there we have students who are actually laying out those words and working on the floor and getting their Megillot ready. So they're going to put them all together and turn them into a nice scroll to take home, but they've incorporated these Ivrit skills and of course an understanding of the story, and they've had fun working with the miniature figures, and all of that goes into their Purim experience. So now we'll pull out to gallery view, and are there any questions? Can we help anybody understand more? Okay, so I'm going to take Barak. Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought this was really cool. I've never seen anything like it. It's very unique, and I bet it's a great way to learn or to teach. Are the lessons in Ivrit, are they Ivrit B'Ivrit, or are they mainly they are Ivrit B'Ivrit?
Yes, we do teach the students, and we speak to the students Ivrit B'Ivrit, and as we teach them nouns, we will use those nouns. So from when I teach them Iparon, then there is no more pencils. It will be Paron. Announcements are made in Hebrew. So if I want to teach them I want to invite them to shiur דקדוק, I will say, בעוד 2 דקות יש שיעור דקדוק, בבקשה לבוא למעגל. So slowly, you really build that. And once you teach them a phrase or you teach them a noun, you have to use it. Because if you don't use it, they lose it. And it's wonderful.
Thank you for your question. Okay, I'm going to take a question from Shuli.
This is super cool, and I feel like this is a great foundation for their skills. How does it look as they get into the older grades? You know, the 5th, 6th area.
Well, so lucky for us, we actually have an upper elementary teacher here, Dossie Katzenstein. Yay, Dossie. So obviously they do move a little bit from the concrete into the abstract, just as they would in any of their other subject areas. So, you know, they're learning more text inside. You know, it starts to look like a lesson where they're reading some psukim. They start reading psukim even in lower elementary, but they're doing that more abstract thinking. But even in upper elementary, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, they do continue to use manipulatives. They do continue to have some miniatures and materials that help them to visualize. For example, in Sefer Yehoshua, we have a whole miniature environment of Yericho, so they can see sort of where everything was situated and where Bnei Israel were and how they were, you know, making their way into the land. And they also have manipulatives like something we call Chumash drawers. So Chumash drawers are a set for every week of the year of some basic nouns and verbs. And what they have to do is lay out some different variety each day with like prefixes and suffixes and the word in the middle, and really keep practicing. Dossie, I don't know if you want to share for a moment as well.
Yeah, I would just say that what we do in upper elementary is we really try to add anything that they can use to make what we're learning a real world experience. So for example, in Sefer Yehoshua, we make maps of the state of Israel, of the land of Israel, that in the times of Yehoshua, so that they can kind of see the valleys and the areas and how the land was divided, so that when they're learning, oh, we captured this new land, they can see actually where it was or where it is on the map. And the same goes for the Megillah. We have them have a set of their own Megillah, and then they get to kind of stamp it or highlight it or take notes in it as we're learning it, so that they start to understand, oh, you know, when it says kelim shonim, we'll bring in sometimes different kelim so that they can see, oh, this is something that Achashverosh might have had at the party. And then they get to kind of like highlight that in their Megillah to say, oh, I actually know what that looks like now. So it's kind of taking what we do in lower elementary and kind of making it abstract and real world for them. So yeah.
Okay, there was a question from, I can only see your last name. Oops, sorry. I think I muted you. There we go. Are you back? Okay.
Okay now? Yes. It's okay? Yeah. So I'm sorry, I missed, what grade was that? The model lesson? That was?
Presentation?
Yeah.
That was all first grade material.
First grade. So I just wanted to ask, so then the kids are participating when they are there? They are also like the teacher calls them in, or they have their own sets, or gradually probably first the teacher is showing, then she calls them in, and then the kids have their sets? I'm just curious how you do that.
How it works logistically.
Yeah. I tell you why, I'm a dyslexia specialist. I always have a question if the kids should have their own set, or it's better when we do it together, but then they might be embarrassed. So both have their pluses and minuses. Like,
Okay, so I'll let Michal field this question.
Yes, so in the lesson, when we introduce them, I will give them the lesson. I will ask each one to read the card, and sometimes they know some of the words. They know melech v'malka, they know shulchan, so they will label those stuff. But when they get to a shar and shomrim, sometimes it's a little harder. I can definitely take a control chart and have them look. But sometimes we'll label it, and then I'll say your follow-up is to do this layout, and then I will tell them what their the follow-up will be after the layout. Usually they need to write nouns and draw them in their machberet ivrit. So yeah, they have the opportunity to do it by themselves, to do the layout by themselves and have the more check it. But they also have the opportunity, if they don't have the confidence, or they don't have the ivrit, the kriya is not good enough. Like a lot of the cases of a lot of our first graders, because of COVID, some of our students came and they didn't know how to read. They got the support from another friend who was able to read with them or for them, and then they were able to do the layout work.
And I'm just
it was amazing to see. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
the design, and also that the kids, they cannot fail because it's really so step by step. I know, especially dyslexic kids, that you can't go wrong. It's only success. Beautiful.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, in our classroom, we have, children moving around at all times. You could have 15 or 20 children in the classroom. You could have one armon. You could have a small group lesson with 3 or 4 children. They're all interacting with it in a very intimate way. And then when they want to go back and practice the work to develop mastery, they do have to sometimes take turns, but it's there. It's just part of the environment with them. So that's how that works. Any other questions that we can answer for you guys tonight? Okay, Shuli again.
Did I hear you say that this was a 1st through 3rd grade classroom, that it's a mixed grade class? So
Okay.
how many kids and teachers are in each one of these classrooms, and how many kids per average per grade?
So it definitely varies from year to year. But typically in our school, we will have 2 lower elementaries. So that's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade together. And in each of the lower elementaries, there could be 18 to 20 children. So you're looking at 5 or 6 per grade, typically, or 7.
And how many teachers for that classroom?
So there would be 1 general studies teacher, 1 Judaic studies teacher, and they are both full-time in the classroom, so that we can really try to have an integration of Judaic studies and general studies. A lot of those, subject areas talking to each other, and a lot of collaborative things among the subject areas. And in a typical year, if we had 18, 19, 20 children, we would also usually have an assistant. In fact, I'm going to introduce Mara Rivka Rosenbaum, who is a Judaic studies teacher in one of our lower elementaries. So we actually have both of our head Judaic studies teachers with us tonight. Any other questions that we could answer for you? Okay, Ashlyn, go for it.
Do the teachers loop with the children to a certain extent?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
With the students, are they looping? Yes, I'm getting a yes nodded at me. Yes for looping.
Crazy, do you want to take that?
Sure. Yeah, I think this is what you mean. So part of the beauty is that you do get to spend 3 years with your student, if everything remains the same, and so you get to really watch them and support them grow, and that's part of the beauty of the 3-year cycle. So yeah, they'll stay in the same community.
I'm not as familiar with Montessori, but is that a Montessori concept, or I only know of it with Waldorfian? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is typical in Montessori classrooms to have a 3-year age range. So it's 3s, 4s, and 5s, and then 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Maria Montessori would have actually said 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. We finish after 8th grade so that kids can have a normal transition to yeshiva high school. Anything else that we could clarify, demystify? Okay, Thank you so much for being here tonight. It was really a pleasure to spend some time with you and hear what's on your minds. And we'll look forward to hearing from any of you who are interested in exploring further with us. Thank you. Purim Sameach.
Thank you very much for coming. Purim Sameach.
Thank you.